Okay, awesome.
All right, we are live.
Awesome.
So we'll start with a quick fire round. I have a quick fire round for you, and then I have some questions for you. Post that, if you have time, we can take in the questions of the people who are on live. Otherwise, that's fine.
Oh,
I'll
sure.
answer on my own. Yeah. So I'll give a quick
So
introduction.
some people are watching live right now.
Yes, yes. So this Zoom meeting is basically streamed
Cool.
directly on YouTube, and they can watch it. All my subscribers and all of that. Yeah.
Cool. Hi, everyone.
All right, what's happening, people? Welcome back to another podcast of the Many Adult Travels. Today, I have an international guest with me. I have someone I deeply, deeply admire, an inspiration to millions of people, someone who is changing the world for good, an animal lover and a woman of the future. I have with me Alyne from Dear Alyne. Thank you, Alyne, for coming to the show.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction and for having me.
All right, so I'll start with a fun quick fire round. You have to answer in like 5 seconds. 5 seconds. These are quick 9 to 10 questions that I have for you.
Great.
All right. All right. So three factors behind your success.
Uh, my mom, my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and my boyfriend.
All right. Three things about Nas you don't like.
uh, his impatience, his um, work. I like and dislike his work obsession,
Mm-hmm.
and I dislike when he's rude sometimes to me.
All right. What would you do if you were alone
Yeah.
in an island?
I would read books and eat vegetarian food and make friends with all the animals.
Quality you hate in people.
um, when they think they're better than other people and they're rude about it.
Ah, your favorite video you ever made.
Yeah. Hmm. Probably, I can't have a favorite. I can't have a favorite.
Pink tax.
I love so many. Oh, not the pink tax. The pink tax was the most popular, but
Yeah.
I don't even know why it was so popular. I was like, this is the most popular video. I have better videos.
All right. Three worst countries you have visited.
Worst countries. Um, hmm. I love all countries, but I had a bad experience in St. Lucia because I feel like there was a lot of dog abuse of the street dogs.
Okay.
Of course, there's nice people who help them too, but it made me feel sad. And worst countries. Where did I not have a good experience? I think I just erased bad memories. Um, I don't remember having. I mean, Ethiopia was difficult because there was no internet and I was working. So
Yeah.
if you want to go somewhere and have fun without internet, it's good. But like if you're on a work trip and you need internet, I struggled with internet there
All right.
more than many countries. And a third one, I was in Canada and it was too cold, so I left. So
I'm sure you had a great experience in India though.
yeah, no, India, I didn't have made any major bad things go wrong, so I was good.
Three
I
things,
enjoyed it a lot.
three things you don't understand, like doesn't make sense to you, like pink tax is one.
Oh, three things that don't make sense to me. I mean, the whole world doesn't make sense to me. Like built skyscrapers. Why do we keep building
You live in Dubai.
skyscrapers? I'm looking at skyscrapers and I'm like, why? They're so ugly and they ruin the view. But like, I understand because everyone needs to live in the center for work. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Um, three things I don't understand: skyscrapers,
Mm-hmm.
animal abuse,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I mean, I understand sexism, but I don't like it. But I do get why people do it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Worst part about being a global influencer.
Um, negative, mean people
Mm.
who think they can just criticize anything you ever do in the universe.
Right. And your final question is your
Mhm.
unproductive habit, most unproductive habit.
Instagram. I should delete Instagram.
But you're a social media influencer.
I know that's the problem. It's my job, but then I'm like, oh, I'm wasting so much time.
All right, that was a quick fire round. I'll move on to the serious part of the questions. So,
Okay.
what are some of the best and worst experiences that you have, like traveling? I know that you have traveled to like 86 countries, if I'm not wrong, right? So,
Yeah.
some of the best and the worst experiences that you have had.
I mean, some of the best experiences I've had, I mean, of course, so many. And one of them was just like couch surfing. I used to do couch surfing to save money when I was in college.
Yeah, yeah,
And I, I mean, the worst memories sometimes, not the worst, but bad memories sometimes become good memories because they're so funny. You know, like once I went couch surfing in Belgium and the host accidentally accepted two groups of people at the same time, and so there was not anywhere to sleep, so they just had me sleep on the floor under the kitchen table. And then while I was sleeping, I saw a mouse next to my face, and I was like, how did my life come to this? And but another time I was couch surfing and I was super sick because what, you know, when you travel a lot, your immune
yeah.
system is suppressed. And this guy was hosting me and he was like, hey, I can't come pick you up because my soccer team is playing in Madrid. Like he owned a soccer team. And I was like, okay, yeah, my soccer team is playing in somewhere else. So they're busy too. And so he had to fly to Madrid for his soccer team. He's like, I'm sending my friend who's like a famous snowboarder to come pick me up.
Yeah.
And I was sick. And then he was like, well, here's his keys to his apartment. It was like a beautiful apartment. Like I'd never been in a fancy apartment at that age before. And I was like, he's like, there's a bakery downstairs. It's all yours. And I was like, okay. So
Wow.
that was a really cool experience. One good and one bad from couch surfing. So it's kind of fun. Um, I mean, there's endless, right?
Yeah.
There's that was in Hungary.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right. So I think
yeah,
you
good and bad.
traveled to around 20-25 countries before you graduated, right?
I traveled to 60 countries before I graduated from
60.
college.
Wow. And just 26 after starting Dear Alyne.
Because I revisit a lot of my favorite places.
I see. How did you like manage
Yeah.
60 countries being graduate? I think you saved like $3,000 and all that, right?
Yeah. So when I was a student, I intentionally chose a cheap university for U.S. standards. So many people in the U.S. pay like 50,000 a year, 30,000 a year for tuition.
Correct.
That doesn't even include their rent and their food and their books and
Yep.
stuff. So I chose a religious university, which was sponsored by my religion. I was Mormon, and so
Mm-hmm.
it was only $2,000 a semester, which is super cheap. And you can make that much money in the US, even working minimum wage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was able to pay for my school every semester. And sometimes my mom would send me like $1,000 here and there. But most of it I paid for myself. And then by summertime, I would work crazy all year. I was a full-time student. I was on 50% scholarship because I had good grades and I was taking a full course load. So normally you take 14 credits and I was taking 18 credits and I had usually not one but two full-time jobs.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know how I did it math-wise because how can you have two full-time jobs and be a student? But I think at some of my jobs I could like study at work, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I would work weekends. So I was like psycho person.
Mm.
I was like, I have to travel in the summer or else I will be depressed because I cannot do this hard schoolwork and have nothing to look forward to. And so once summer came, I would have maybe $3,000 or so. I would buy a round trip ticket for maybe $700. And then I would budget maybe $10 to $20 a day for traveling
Oh wow.
once I've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So $10 to $20 a day. $10 a day is 300 a month. 3 months, that's $900. Let's say I do 20, it's double that, 1,800. So that's still under my $3,000 budget, right? Even if I do 20 a day, because some days you need to take a bus or a train that's more expensive. But yeah, I would never take a taxi. I would walk miles. I would walk 10 miles instead of paying for a taxi. I carried everything on my back, and I slept under tables wherever. I slept in a park. I didn't care. I didn't want to. I wanted to travel more than I wanted anything else. So
Got it.
yeah.
All right. Moving on to animals. I love animals. I love dogs, and I know that you are super. You're aware of all the things that happen in this industry, the food industry. Looking at those videos by PETA, it's scary, right? And I don't see any change in that. Like, there's a lot of videos around it about the awareness impact that has not only on body but also environmentally. What do you think, like, we should do as individuals to go towards a like better society, like not abusing animals in general and also not eating?
Sure. I think the first easiest step that everyone can do today is to follow 5 accounts of vegetarians and vegans, educators, right? Earthling Ed, or I mean, there's millions of these types of amazing accounts, and I think just by following these accounts, you will learn every day a little bit more about why it's important, and it will be easier for you to not eat meat and to not eat these products, because every day you will be learning about different ways it affects the planet. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm 31, right? And I became vegetarian when I was 12. And I became vegetarian before I realized all the reasons to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
I just kind of thought it was crazy that we kill animals. Like that's one of those things that's socially just accepted, like, oh, we kill animals to eat them. And even when I was 12, I was like, wait, so you're telling me I can be healthy and survive without eating animals, but we're still eating them for
Mm.
fun? Like, we're just murdering them for fun.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, that's just, God made them for our use. And I'm like, no, he didn't. Like, he made them to live their own life, and to help people survive maybe 10,000 years ago, before there were grocery stores and refrigerators. So I think following an account is the easiest thing you can do, that requires almost zero effort. And then slowly, hopefully, you will learn things that will help you stop eating meat, and drinking less milk, and not eating as many eggs, or getting it from a like having your own chickens in your yard. If you want an egg, have a chicken, and then you can have the eggs, because you're not taking it from a farm where they cut off the baby's beaks, and so all this crazy stuff, right?
Yeah. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's a slow process. No one's perfect, just doing as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, this is the you mentioned it's very initiative driven. Like, if somebody wants to do that, then they follow the accounts, and but usually the feeling is like it doesn't matter. There is a lot of abundance of chickens or pigs, and if we don't eat them, then they'll be in large volumes
Oh,
and all of that.
that is the no offense to the people saying that, but
Yeah.
that is a completely wrong argument, because the reason there's so many animals, it's not like these chickens are just naturally in the wild. Why do you think there's so many chickens? Because we breed them. Everyone watching, do you want to know how cows, you want to know where milk comes from? Let me tell you. A guy takes the sperm from a male cow, puts it in a syringe in his hand, and shoves it up the vagina of a girl cow. You can bleep that word. I don't know how, that. I mean, it's just a word. I shouldn't have to bleep a
Yeah,
female
no
anatomy.
doubt about it.
And then forces her to be pregnant. So he essentially rapes her with his hand. That is where your milk comes from. Yeah. So it's not like these cows are naturally having babies and they're running in the fields and then you're taking the milk. No, they're in a huge, disgusting gray building that smells like poo, and they're being artificially inseminated. So do you think cows just have milk all the time? Does your mom have milk all the time? No, she has it after she has a baby. It's for the baby. So we're taking the milk from the cow. So it's not like humans are going to stop eating meat tomorrow and there will be zero meat consumption. What's going to happen is, over time, humans will stop artificially breeding these animals that are on the planet now in crazy numbers, because we're creating them more than is natural. And chickens now are twice as big in the US as they naturally were 50 years ago, because they're so mutated from growth hormones, from all the hormones we give them. They're literally so big, they can't support their weight. And if you go to chicken farms in the US, a lot of them have broken legs, a lot. It's not like 1 out of 100, because they're crushed by their own body weight. So it's such a it's not a argument to say, oh, it's just all these animals are around, so we have to eat them. Like,
Yeah,
it shows that there's a lack of knowledge about the
exactly that
industry.
lack of awareness. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I did not know about that milk part. That's some scary stuff there.
it's crazy. Yeah, they don't like us to know that stuff. Of course, they don't put that in the advertisements. So yeah,
All right. Moving on to patriarchy and women. I wanted to talk about this as well. Fortunately, I've been grown in a very equal family. I have a sister as well, and we have always been given the values that we are all equal and all of that. So, growing up, it has been weird, to see that there's a lot of differences, discrimination being made between men and women, and we saw like the first U.S. vice president who's a female for the first time, and this is 2020 this that we're talking about, which is just, I can't believe it. Like, we have been talking about women empowerment and this for like 10 years probably now, but 2020 is when the first United States vice president is a female. So I just can't understand this. What are your
yeah,
thoughts on this?
yeah. I mean, I did a post about this when it happened, and I was like, you know, I am happy that we have a female vice president, um, but hopefully it's just the beginning because uh, imagine if the next, so let's say we've had 80 presidents and vice presidents, let's say 40 presidents, I don't know the exact number, 40. So let's say all the next 40 presidents were black women. Like, how does that make you react in your mind? Not you necessarily, but whoever's listening. Like, do you go like, oh, it shouldn't be only black women, or oh, it shouldn't be this, it should be a mix? Well, the last 40 presidents were all white men. So yeah. So imagine, and everybody treats it like it's normal. They're like, oh, another white man is president. Great, normal. But if every single president for the next 40 presidents or vice presidents was a black woman, imagine people would think it's just crazy. And that shows sexism and racism
Yeah,
and how in, ingrained it is in us. Like, it's just normal that all the leaders are white
yeah,
and male.
yeah. I think I
So,
was in
hope.
2008. I was 8 years old, and Barack Obama won the presidentship, and there was so much news about just that he's the first black president, and imagine now a female black vice president. So, um,
Yeah,
just like, do you see this changing like in the near future, like country wise, not just
I do.
talking about politics, but in India or
Yeah,
Canada and Bangladesh and all of these countries where the discrimination
I
is
do.
more. You do?
I think a lot of changes happen not like this, right? Not all changes are linear. Sometimes it's like the hockey stick, right? So, my hope is that this is the beginning of the hockey stick and it's just going to go up really fast. Whereas before it was just like this, there wasn't really any change. And now it's going to go, right? So, I think not all over the world, right? I mean, there's so many countries where there's just no women's rights practically. But in the countries that are more currently progressive, I think, I mean, already we have Jacinda in New Zealand. We just have a new, I think it's in, is it Estonia? In Eastern Europe, they have like a new female president in all these different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, Moldova. Um, so it's already changing, right? And Congress is getting more women, and the women listening, right? We have to do it. Like and it sucks, right? It sucks to be the first women to do this stuff. It's the hardest for us, but we have to take on the weight and be the ones to go do this stuff. I have to do it on social media. I don't want to do this. I don't want to make these videos that make me a target of hate, but I have to do it. Someone has to do it, so I'll do it, you know?
Yeah.
Someone has to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of compounding effect. I think millennials, your generation and my generation, Gen Z, because of the internet and because of the awareness that we have, we sort of know that okay, we are equals and there's no discrimination. Rather, in the generation before us, there was discrimination and it was all going on, lack of awareness and all of that. Now, from your generation, millennials and Gen Z again, the compounding effect is kicking in probably in the next 5-10 years, when we probably come in power, when we become decision makers in politics,
Yeah.
in positions of power basically. I think then the equality will be much 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 higher, hopefully.
I think it will happen slowly, and um, we have to we have to make noise. You know, we have to complain, and we have to make things change. And it's important to have, you know, male allies, right, like you and other men
Yeah.
that are willing. You know, you're giving up a little bit, right, in the short term. You're giving up your patriarchal advantage for the greater good of humanity, because it's better for humanity when women are empowered, because then the economy will improve, everything will improve in the long term.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the good
Yeah.
point you mentioned. Like, even if men are, open to equality, they then the second thought comes in, like, okay, but this is an advantage for me. Why should I sort of, let this go and all of that? And there's where the character of that person comes into play. And more often than not, they're like, yeah, let's just go ahead with patriarchy.
You're like, let's just keep it. It's
Yeah.
working for me.
Right. So you dealt with mental health issues recently, right? Around, I think, 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
So can you share your experience? What was happening for the US perspective and all of that? How you dealt with it? What your advice and all that?
Sure. Um, I think, of course, everyone's mental health challenges will be unique and individual and at a different scale. Um, for me, I go through, I think, lifelong different types of mental health challenges. So I think a lot about life, right?
Okay.
And if you think a lot about life, it can be depressing, right?
Mm.
Especially if you don't believe in an afterlife, you don't believe in any religion. I would love to believe in religion. My life would be so much easier if I believed in religion, right? Oh, everything's going to be fine. I'm going to heaven. But I cannot make myself believe
I don't believe
as
in
much as
religion.
I would love to. Yeah, I wish. I wish that would be so nice. But I don't. And so what happens is I can get stuck in these cycles of like, people are horrible, people are mean, they're hurting animals, like there's so much bad going on. How can I possibly fight all of this? It's overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed. I can't do all of this. And then when you try to fight it, people are mean to you still. Like if you make any little mistake, right? So they see you as like, oh, well, because you're trying, you should be perfect. And they forget you're just trying. You're just a person, right? So that is hard. And I think all of us, you know, we feel overwhelmed. Life is hard, period, right? Life is hard. Like, even if you're for everyone, like, and so what happened a few months ago, I feel, I don't know what caused it. I'm sure Corona, we're all stuck. We feel stuck, you know, in our lives. We feel, or we are literally stuck in our houses or
I mean, you
in
got
our
time to
careers.
think.
We're just stuck.
Mm.
Yeah, too much time for thinking is not good for some people,
Mm.
and having nothing to look forward to. So what helped me is therapy. I do therapy anyways,
Oh wow.
so it wasn't like a magic pill.
Mm.
I get therapy every week, even if I'm good, even if I'm bad. I go to therapy like
That is
you go to the gym.
amazing.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for maintenance, right?
100%.
And therapy is not a magic pill, right? I still got depressed even though I was in therapy every week.
Mm.
But then I have the coping mechanisms to maybe get out of it faster than if I didn't, right?
Mm.
Maybe it would have lasted 9 months instead of just 3 months,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I started writing in a journal every single day. Um, and that really helped. These all helped cumulatively, right? All together, not just one or the other. So, therapy, writing in my journal. If you can't afford a therapist, or there's a stigma where you live, you know, you can
yeah. Mm.
talk to someone you
How are you
trust
talking to
maybe
therapists?
once a week.
You're mentally ill.
Yeah, people don't really get it. I'm lucky I'm from California where it's like normal to go to, it's like, of course you go to therapy. Why would you not go to therapy? you know, uh, so everyone goes to therapy in California.
Oh.
Um,
Mm.
and and planning something to look forward to and removing pressure. So if you're a student, you can't really remove pressure because you have to do your schoolwork. But I'm an entrepreneur, so I can say,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do any jobs this month or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? And then I planned that trip to Bosnia, which was a pain, a massive pain to plan a trip during a pandemic. But I knew I had to plan something so that I could have something to think about that was not just life is meaningless. I should lay on the floor
Got it.
for 20 years.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it comes every year at least once for like a few weeks at least. And there's this phase that
Yeah.
keeps on coming and going, and it's natural. I feel so.
Natural.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to get it again. It'll come and go. Yeah.
Right. So, just came into my mind. I read this book, 21 Lessons from 21st Century by Yuval, and around after a week, I listened to podcast of Nas with him, and they talked about an
Yeah.
interesting concept of boundaries, why there are boundaries, international boundaries, and all of that. Where there's distinction like Hindu, Muslim, and then American, Indian, African, and all of that. Because in like according to you all, like centuries ago there was no concept like this, and these are human made, right, man made. So what's your viewpoint, because you have been to so many countries, you have so much of international exposure? Do you think 50 years down the line there'll be a just a global citizenship, no visas, no boundaries, just unity and all that? What's your thought about it?
I can't predict what will happen,
Yeah.
but I think there should definitely be a loosening of these rules because there's just it's not working, right? It's not. I mean, the life isn't fair. I understand life isn't fair, but like it's too unfair with these boundaries. Like you can be an educated person from a good family that has a proven track record that you're not going to do something bad, and you still won't get a visa somewhere, and that's
Mm,
not good, and that's too unfair. You know what I mean? So I think there should definitely be some kind of global taxation or global citizenship. I understand why it's difficult because the populations in countries with lower income are explosively bigger
mm,
than populations in higher income. So, like, global taxation would be difficult, right? Because in a country with a population of, hundreds of millions versus maybe 5 million,
yeah.
they can't, the money is gonna just get diffused so quickly. Bless you. So I don't think there could be an immediate like remove the borders, everyone run free.
Yeah.
But I think there should be a loosening, and there should be some global citizen option where you can apply, and they trust that you're not just gonna do whatever they're afraid people do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it should be easier.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Moving
for
on to
sure.
your creative aspect, Dear Alyne aspect of things. Where do you see the brand
Sure.
Dear Alyne going in like the next 5 years or 2 years? How far you have thought about?
I'm thinking a lot about it right now, actually. So I'm doing like lots of ideating and planning and stuff. Yes. So I have not decided, but my image in my head for the future, which I leave open ended and I leave it flexible because I never know where my life will
Plans
take
don't
me.
work out.
Is I They don't work out for, yeah, because something better could come, right? That you didn't plan.
Yeah.
But I want to help women have financial independence on their own. That's something I'm very interested in. And
Okay.
the reason is I think financial independence for women will solve a lot of other problems. Because I can't make men stop beating their wives, but I can make wives get a good enough education that they can get a job, that they can say bye when their husband's abusive, instead of being locked into having to live with him because she depends on him financially.
Yeah.
So that's probably not obvious when people watch my videos that that's one of my goals, but that's why I make so many videos about money, and I talk about money and like how to save money and how to invest money. Like I'm not just doing it for no reason. Like I want people to
100%.
learn financial literacy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you are driven in that way. Like, even with content, I mentioned in the introduction as well that you are there for like changing the world. With even with like, you have this Dear Alien retreat course. It's all about creating new creators. And then this you mentioned
Yeah.
about this financial independence thing, which is if you help women, if you just help like 100, 1000 women across globe in, you know, starting from $0 a month to like 100, $200, whatever, doesn't matter. That's a big change, and the bubble effect that it will have is it's crazy. And I just read a book,
Exactly.
Can't Hurt Me by David Coggins, and he was also abused a lot uh, in his childhood, and his mother was beaten and all of that. And it was written clearly that my mother was very dependent on my father, and we did not have any income, so we could not leave him, despite the fact that he was extremely abusive. So that point just correlated to your point is, yeah, that's something behind
Yeah,
it.
and it affects the children as well, right? The children of the family. So,
Yeah,
and it just happens so much that like they can't build a safe house because it happens to like so many people. It's crazy. Yeah.
right. So what is your creative process like? How do you come up with a video idea? How do you script? What's your vision and all of that behind a video?
Yeah. What I always recommend to people just starting, and I think we probably talked about this in the retreat, and you took the retreat, is I always recommend if you're just getting started to do a brainstorm session. And I'm like I just showed you guys, even at my level, I'm still constantly brainstorming. So I say like sit down, make a list. Like I'm creating a new class right now called Taboo Topics. And so I already was brainstorming like,
I love the
yeah,
energy.
which you get a sneak peek. So I was like, which topic should I talk about? Porn, like marital rape, sexuality, domestic abuse, religion. So like I put everything down that I'm interested in. And then, I choose the ones I like the most, maybe circle it, or I might show you and be like, hey, which ones do you think is most relatable to the most people? Okay, let's focus on these. And then I put it in order of what I want to shoot, right? So for anyone starting,
I see.
that's my method is start with a big brainstorm, break it down, or you can make a series. So sometimes I'll do a series, like right now I want to do a series on you know vegetarian food. So I'll say I want to do a series on vegetarian food. So what countries am I going to shoot in? Make a list of 20 countries and then break it down to the final 4 or the final 8,
Got it.
and think about your goals.
Hmm.
Yeah, what you want to reach, who do you want your audience to be?
Yeah. Talking
Yeah.
about retreat, DN retreat. Shout out to retreat graduates. So
Yeah.
can you talk about your course? Can you talk about the create, like what is taught, and where can people, take the course and all that?
Sure, sure. Yeah. So the Dear Alyne retreat, there's two. There's the one that I taught live, and I decided to stop teaching it live because I'm overwhelmed and I have to choose where I'm going to put my energy. I taught it live 10 times, and it's a 20-hour course, and I check everyone's homework
Yeah. It's like a
and all
pressure
this
cooker.
stuff. So I was like, yeah. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So what I did is on the final retreat in September, I recorded all the classes and then I broke them up into separate modules. So what people in the past only 22 people at a time could access because I had a 22 student class size.
Mm-hmm.
Now I opened it up and it's available um, on Teachable. So I just have all the modules there, and you took it. So what did you think of it?
I,
Did
I
you?
I love
You're
it.
honest.
Yeah, I honestly love
Honest.
it. Yeah, I'm being honest. I was
Okay.
connected to you after that as well, right? I mailed you specifically that I
Yeah.
want to be associated with this and all of that, because I was so. It was a good course. I mean, I've been doing YouTube since April, and my videos have
Yeah.
not been that great. And I have mailed you like I shot a video and sent you before that as well, if you remember, on this green screen itself. And I
Yes.
remember Rayleigh telling me that you should take retreat and all that. So I applied again with a new video of a scholarship and all that, and then I got selected. And under Digvijay and Raheli, we did that 10-12 scholarship,
Yeah.
which is like I got a lot of new points. I mean, I sucked at scripting. Like you mentioned, brainstorming, mindstorming, and all that. I was like, okay, today this happened with me, so I just write the topic. I'll write randomly like I'm texting someone, and I'll make a video out of it. So
Yeah.
my video did not have anything. It did not have any thinking. It's just like I'm talking in front of the camera in front of this green screen, and then I'm uploading video. I'm expecting views to get views, like I'll get a lot of views, but I was not getting anything. Then the scripting part under the retreat course happened. the AABB, all that format, and writing it like a poem and all that. And I was like, oh, this is how we do it.
You're like, oh, I was doing it.
And post that, I've been doing that, and yeah, I can feel the change. I don't know if other people feel, but I really.
It's a slow process, right? Because even I still write bad scripts after 100 videos. So it's not perfect, but like every script, hopefully you kind of learn a new technique and you think of something new, and then eventually you'll hit something will click and you'll be like, aha,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. But the first thing is to know the process key. How exactly do you do it? People don't know that, and that is something that I learned from you, Digvijay, and all of that. So I was super grateful for that. And again, the
yeah.
editing class. Wow, the editing class. That pink tax video editing was. I I was I was I did not edit videos before that. I was like, you editing anybody can do. I will not do this. And then I saw your video and I was like, so much to do. You were putting sounds on your hands is going up. This is happening. This is happening. There's one sound. There's another sound, and there's your voice, and there's voiceover. I was like, I can't do this. But
You're like, this is hard.
yeah. So that opened me up to a lot of editing thing. And then again, the money class. Wow, the money class. I forgot the name of the travel blogger who came, but the type of sponsorships you can get, the type of monetization of create, like your videos monetizing, opens your mind. I just feel sorry for the people who don't even know about so much exists just because of lack of knowledge or resources. So yeah.
That's exactly how I feel, because I feel like this retreat is it's not going to give you everything, but it gives you the basics of everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I can't teach you in 20 hours how to do everything on earth, but it kind of shows you. That's exactly what you said is the point of this retreat, is to show you what's possible, because people don't know what's possible and the options they could have. So I really hope, I mean, I hope that people interested in content creation find it, because I don't like to talk about it too much because I don't want people to feel like I'm advertising, and I'm not. I just know like how many lives it has changed, and it is. Did you see the girl who graduated from the retreat who just got a
Yeah,
job
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yesterday?
yeah, yeah. I saw the Dear Alyne story. Yeah,
Like so many, it's because she took the course, right? She took the course, she learned how to make a good video. She used, they didn't ask for a video application for that job. She just was like, hey, I learned how to make a video, I should apply with a video. And it made her stand out from all the other
yeah,
applicants.
yeah,
So now I want to teach a class about applying for jobs, because I get so many crappy job applications where I'm like,
yeah.
did you really think this is gonna work? Like,
Yeah, I saw
this
the
is not gonna
content
work.
position open. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
even the
couldn't find.
community of
Yeah.
like retreat, that group. I'm super connected with Digvijay. There's a dose of serotonin Instagram handle as well. She's also your graduate, and her videos are really amazing. I'm
Yes.
connected with her, so the community is also close knit. We're all trying. We're all helping each other. So 100% recommend. I'll link your videos as
Exactly.
well. Yeah,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Right.
And we can give you guys a discount code if you want. Just ask my team and they'll make you
Sure,
guys a
sure.
code.
I'll ask Raheli for it.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on
Yeah.
to Naz's life. Uh, so
Yes.
his life is super dynamic. He's a global figure with a lot of ambition for sure, and you have been a vocal supporter for him. And you have also actively talked about how you make compromises and sacrifices for his life as well, moving to Singapore and moving to Dubai now. So how has the mutual thing been going for you? What the personal objectives, the personal vision, and yeah, overall.
Sure. I think I see life as an experiment, right? And our relationship and our interactions are just another experiment in life, you know? And the experiment could go well or it could fail, right? Or not fail, but maybe just not go anymore, right? So for me, um, I actually was the one who wanted to move to Dubai, but the reason I wanted to move here was because I knew it's one of the only places he would move, if that makes sense. Essentially, I didn't want to be
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Singapore anymore. I wanted a new place, something new, because Singapore is in lockdown. So I needed to be somewhere where I didn't feel trapped in lockdown, and Dubai allows inward and outward travel. So I'm not as you could maybe tell, I'm not the biggest fan of Dubai, right? People assume because I moved here that I support Dubai and every law that they've ever made and all of their, and no, no, like I just want to live here so that I can get on an airplane and leave if I want, and then I can come back. Okay, that is why I live here. So in terms of both of us as a couple, like I think it's it's working. It's working. It's definitely um, not one of those relationships like in the movies where like the guy is like, oh, so supportive and like sweet, and no, that's not what it's like. Um, but it gives a lot of the sacrifices I make. I also have other benefits, right? So maybe I'm sacrificing living where I want to live, which is Utah in the US in the mountains in a little cute cabin. But what I'm gaining is I'm meeting lots of unique people. I'm learning about different businesses. I'm meeting people that are interesting. So both are good. You know, I could leave and we could have a long distance relationship and I live in a cabin, but life is an experiment. So I'm experimenting living in a new place and meeting new people.
Got it, got
Yeah.
it. So we have a ton of questions, so I'll just
Okay.
go through them once. Yeah.
Sorry, I give long answers. I'll shorten them.
Sorry? Ah, not a
I
problem.
said sorry.
This
I
this
give
is a
long
podcast.
answers. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's Faisal talking about that milk thing as well, the cow milk thing. He's telling that he talked about this yesterday itself.
Yeah.
Apparently my volume is super low. I'll just increase my volume once.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you well, but maybe they
Yeah, yeah.
can't on YouTube.
I have increased now. All right. So you sort of, I've been talking about this again and again, but again, uh, I really feel that you have a very, very modern outlook to life. Like you and Nas both. I mean, with all the questions I asked, animals and women and patriarchy, sexism, all of them are very futuristic values. And
Yeah.
so my question is, I I I sort of want these values that you have to be around with like the next generation or my generation, because when I see my generation doing discrimination, uh, be it like animal abuse or women and all that, it just hurts on a different level, because on some level you expect maybe the 1950s 1940s people to do it, uh, but their time is gone now. But if you see a 1999 born or 2000 born do this, then it hurts. So the question for you is
Yeah.
like, where, like how did you get those values, and from where should one should sort of imbibe these values?
That's a good question. And I'm not. I genuinely wonder about that as well. Because sometimes I wonder, like, how does someone end up like this and someone ends up like this, right?
Mm.
Um, because my mom and dad are not vegetarian. They like animals. You know, they let me have a dog since I was a kid. So I had a dog. But they weren't vegetarian. And I just love animals so much. I think some people are more empathetic than other people, and I think it may be like genetic, right?
Mm.
Where you're just more empathetic and you understand more what other people are experiencing and you care more, right? You know, some people are sociopaths, and I think it's something in their wiring where they just don't care about other people. They just don't care, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm not sure how to change this. I know some of it can be changed. Some of it is conditioning, because if your parents are a certain way and you never meet other people
Yeah.
outside of your circle, which many people don't, they grow up in a town and everyone thinks a certain way in their town and they just assume all humans think that way and they assume that is correct. So obviously,
Mm.
traveling helps,
Mm.
right? Traveling helps so that you can, just in terms of caring about other humans, because if you travel and you meet other people, like I traveled to India, now I know what Indians are like in India, right? Or I traveled to Pakistan and I
Yeah.
know what Pakistanis are like. um, I've always wanted truth, right? I want the truth. I don't want to be right. I want to know what the truth is. So I think if we're always looking for the truth, that helps. I know what you mean. It really makes me crazy sometimes when people don't care. But I think it helps to always educate. So Nas, for example, when we met, ate meat, right? And did not care about animals at all,
Mm.
right? He
Mm.
didn't hate them. He wasn't mean to them. He just, but it's because of his situation, right? He's not somebody who cannot learn. Um, some people are resistant to learning. So I think my approach, so that I don't go crazy, and I've said this at my retreats and I've said this since I've started,
Mm.
there's people who are already on your side. So let's say let's just use vegetarianism, feminism. There's people who are already feminists and believe in women's rights,
Yeah.
and I don't need to talk to them. They already are on the same team as me, right?
Mm.
There's people who hate women and are sexist and are horrible. And then there's people that are normal people that are like, I I think women have rights. I don't think we need feminism. You know, these are the people that
Ah.
just learned the wrong thing, right? That
Mm.
was me 10 years ago. I was like,
Mm.
women have rights. What's the
Mm.
problem? What are we all
Mm.
complaining about? And
Mm.
then as I got older and traveled more and I saw people in
Yeah.
India and Pakistan and even in the US who don't have rights as women, I was like, oh, shoot. We definitely need
Mm.
feminism,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So this is who I target, is the people on the middle who I know I can bring over.
Got
I
it.
don't
Makes
waste my
sense.
time over here.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, with the travel thing and with the change thing, I remember I was traveling with my mom and dad around a couple of months ago, and I was listening to a Nas podcast. It was you and him talking about your relationship and your castes and
Mm-hmm.
religions and all of that, and how you sort of tried your parents were against it in the beginning, and sort of you managed around all of that. So
Yes.
my I was
How to
listening.
train your parents.
Yeah, so I was driving and we were traveling for like 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers. So it was a 5 to 6 hours journey. So they had no option but to listen to it. It was
Yeah.
it was being played on the car, and I was like, Mom, listen to this. Okay, because she also had some issues with on those grounds. Irrespective of my personal issues, I just wanted her to listen your perspective. And
Yeah.
after listening to the podcast, like she was like, yeah, she told this in Hindi, but she's like, yeah, they are making sense. There are two, three things there's right.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
And I was like, chalo, there's benefit. And then I played another podcast of I think there was in sequel to that podcast between you and Nas.
Yeah, we did the two. Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah. So keep doing it. My mom is in the middle group, and probably now she's in the better.
She's leaning towards this side.
Correct. Right. I'll just open the questions once that I asked my followers for like question for you, and they
Sure.
have shot in a few. If I don't ask the questions, I'll probably get DMs. You did not ask. Why do you even ask us?
They'll be like, you didn't answer my question.
Yeah. All right. So there are a lot, but I'll ask like top 3 or 4.
Sure.
How to be best version of yourself? What do you see in the future of Nas Academy? A lot of Nas question. Probably most of them think that you Nas Daily, Nas company is same, but it's different, guys.
Yeah,
Nas Daily is different and Dear Alyne is different.
Yeah, I try and I can explain why. So I try to maintain separation because especially I don't know if you have female followers, but especially like if you're a woman, it's important to have independence, especially within like work or a company or finances.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have my own company that's separate. So yes, me and Nas work together on some projects, but we have 2 separate companies.
Correct. All right. So there's one question I want to know. It's not a major question, but your routine, yeah, like your daily routine, your habits, and all of that.
Sure. No, I'm interested in other people's routines. I go to bed not super early. I go to bed pretty late, like 12 or 1.
Instagram.
I'm not good at sleeping. Yeah, I'm on my Instagram or I'm doing last minute stuff and I just don't go to bed.
Yeah.
I sleep usually like 8 hours at least, 8 or 9 hours. In the mornings, I mean, our routines are always different because sometimes we're traveling and sometimes we're in one place. But when I'm in one place, I like to get a lot of work done. So I usually schedule a morning meeting for 9 or 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I have to start working.
Yeah.
Like I can't just like keep putting it off. I have to
Deadline.
start working.
Mm-hmm.
Deadline. Yeah. So I'm working at 9 or 10. I usually have a team meeting once a day with my team for about an hour, and we talk about what they're doing and what they need to do the next day. I'm usually kind of planning future projects. If I have a video to shoot, like I have shooting days and I have non-shooting days.
Mm-hmm.
So some days, like if I'm shooting, I have to wake up and shoot all day. Like when I shoot the whole day, right?
Okay.
So when I was in Bosnia,
Mm-hmm.
like I would be shooting every single day. When I went to Taiwan, I made 5 videos in 4 days, right? So I'm just shooting, but then I'll have a week or two of not shooting.
Yeah.
So that I'll be doing the editing and I'll be doing the other work. So there's no routine because
each day as it comes. Yeah.
Every day is different. Yeah.
Right. Talking about India, what are the 3 things you feel Indians should improve on, socially, economically? What are your views when you came to India?
I mean, India is so massive. It's hard to generalize, what people should do because there's so many different groups.
100%.
But ways to improve, I mean, probably it's mostly the government that needs to make the major changes. But I would say overall, trying to, I know a lot of people care about animals in India, but kind of thinking more about the animals, like the animal population would be one thing, like spaying and neutering, taking in the animals to your house or feeding them, not being mean to them. Because I see a lot of people that are like, shoo, shoo, or like, it's just a dog. Like, you don't need to shoo it and scare it, right? I think women's issues need work in India. So, again, but that's more of a government. Like, the government needs to enforce the rules because you can't make those types of men stop being abusive. Like, you can't just say, stop doing that, and they'll be like, okay, just stop. So the government needs to be enforcing like harsh punishments for this stuff, and
100%.
And trusting the women and not just like doubting everything women say. So animals, women, and then of course I think there's like, this isn't something you guys can just improve though, but I feel like it would be nice if there's some way to even out the playing field for everyone, because I know there's a lot of income disparity. So I'm not sure, I'm not a politician, I don't know how to run a country with hundreds of millions and 1 billion people, right? But I know Indians are so smart and there's so much potential, and it's sad when there's not opportunities for everyone, right? So I think India could be more open for people to come and foreigners to like come and work there as well. I just know
agreed.
That would be cool.
I think
it could be like a digital nomad destination would be cool.
Yeah, definitely with the millennials and the Gen Z generation coming in, we'll definitely make this happen. Right, final questions. Final question of the podcast. 3 books, podcasts, and life lessons that you would want to share. This is a question I ask everybody at the end. 3 books, podcasts, or documentaries, whatever.
3 of each? Or
yes.
3 total?
Yes, 3 of each. 3 of each.
3 of each.
Yeah.
Podcasts, I love Armchair Expert by Dax Shepard. Really good. I like Smartless, which is by these 3 actors. Smartless, Armchair Expert, and what else do I listen to right now?
Nas Talks.
This is kind of Nas Talks. Yeah, I'll recommend Nas Talks. There we go. Nas Talks on Spotify.
Yeah.
And 3 books, you said?
Yeah.
3 books. I mean, book recommendations are based on what level, where you are in life. So it would completely change.
In context to the podcast conversation, or whatever. Yeah.
Instead of saying 3 books, I'm going to recommend joining my book club, because I just post all the books I'm reading there because I love reading. So it's Dear Alyne's book club on Facebook. And if you search the old posts, just search my name. I post the books I'm reading, and we suggest books every month. Um, I loved Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. That was
Becoming.
really good,
I've read
and
that.
about self improvement and yeah, Becoming. And that was good for me because I'm also dating a high profile guy,
You
and
yourself
it's
are
like
a
lonely sometimes because
high
you have your
profile.
own set of issues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, high profile, but dating an even higher profile, right? So it's easy to be in their shadow all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I loved reading Michelle's book to hear how she dealt with that. Um, so that's what I would recommend, the book club. Just look there. And then what was the last one?
Life lessons that you would want to share.
Three life lessons. Life lessons. Oh, there's so many life lessons. One is you should try to be financially independent at the earliest age possible. It doesn't mean to be rich. It just means to make your own money so you can depend on yourself. Uh, Number two is life lessons. We're all going to make mistakes. It's just about how fast we bounce back from them and bouncing back. And three is even if it takes time to learn how to make decisions for ourselves and not for society, not what society wants, but what we want. Those are some things I've learned myself.
Got it. All right. So
Yeah.
there's one question on the live chat from Hiran who is saying, what motivates you creating content and what do you want from your life? I think we have answered the creating content reason a lot, like changing the
Yeah.
word and all of that. But what do you want
Yeah.
from your life is like the last. Yeah.
Last thing. I'm just grateful that I'm here because when I was younger, I always thought for some reason that I would die young. I just was like, I'm going to die young. I'm going to die when I'm like 20, so I don't need to plan past age 20 because I think I'm going to die. And then I never died. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I need to do something with my life because I'm still here. So I just see every year past age 20 as like a bonus year. Um,
Wow.
so what I want from I've already gotten, to be honest, more than I ever dreamed of. I never had big goals in my life. I never thought anything would become of me. So for me, I just want to um, help other women and men and people be financially independent. I want to help people treat animals better, myself included. We can all improve.
Sure.
I would love to financially support animal shelters or build my own
You
animal
do that a
shelter.
lot, yeah.
Or yeah, I try to always donate from the retreats. I always give a
Yeah.
percentage to
Correct.
shelters. Um, and I would love to like find some way to make a big shift in consciousness, right? Where people, I don't want to help people in one way. I want to help them in a lot of ways, like financially and mentally and boundaries with their family. So that's kind of my long-term goal, is just to, I might stop making videos and I might do it in another way.
Yeah.
But just in some way to help people who were like me when I was younger and I was like, what the hell is going on in this world?
Yeah.
And help them kind of have some orientation of where they want to go.
Got it. Got it. All right. Thank you, Alyne, for doing the podcast. I'm 100% sure
Thank
you will
you.
change the world. You changed my mom's opinion, and so did.
I love that.
Yeah. And even people like me, I hope you create more Ayush's and more. We need more of Alyne's for sure. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. And thank you, five people watching this. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, everyone watching.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes, let me.